This will do it. The championship meet in the Mountain East Conference. Fairmont State and Glenville State, the top two seeds, set to meet after winning their semifinals and getting a little warm-up in earlier with the individual finals earlier today. Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer here with you from Joe Retton Arena. And a lot of fun yesterday, a lot of fun today. They already got a warm-up in, but it's almost like they've had a meet today. This is essentially a doubleheader for these two schools today.
It absolutely is, and they started early. We're really going to see what these teams are made of as far as endurance is concerned.
Yeah, they both competed in all 15 individual events, leading the way, and of course, you could make the argument they swept them. Fairmont State won 10, Glenville State won 5, leaving nothing available for any of the other 5 schools, 4, I should say, participating, as West Virginia State was not here today. But these are the top 2 teams in the conference. They are number 4, Fairmont State, and number 11, Glenville State. Nationally, would take quite a bit of work for Glenville to potentially get into that top 8, but we're not saying, never say never. Fairmont State, on the other hand, has essentially wrapped up a spot. I think it would take something totally catastrophic for them not to earn a spot in nationals at this point. We are going to meet both of these teams right now, and we'll start with the Glenville State Pioneers.
Amelia Underwood, senior, Bridgeport, West Virginia. Carrie Remy, senior, Spencer, West Virginia.
Kinley Stanley, junior, Nashville, Tennessee.
Justin Duckworth, junior, Worthington, West Virginia. Ryan Albert, junior, Fairmont, West Virginia. Trinity Costanino, freshman, Chesapeake, Virginia. Delaney Rosales, senior, South Elgin, Illinois.
Cindy O'Connor, sophomore, Ramsey, Minnesota.
Elsa Skinner, freshman, Virginia, West Virginia.
Emma Bothell, freshman, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Sammy Ruth, freshman, Thornton, California.
Taryn Colvinson, junior, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Julian Hine, sophomore, Clawson, Michigan. Meredith Taylor, sophomore, Fairmont, West Virginia. Sydney West, sophomore, Ramsey, Minnesota.
Aubrey Ward, sophomore, Huntington, West Virginia.
Samantha Bragg, senior, Lincoln County, West Virginia.
Giovanna Pelosa, sophomore, Bridgeport, West Virginia. Savannah Duckworth, senior, Worthington, West Virginia.
Really strong performance for Glenville State, both in the individual competition and yesterday in their semifinal victory, Christy.
Yes, again, as we said earlier today, this is going to be a great meet. Really high-level competition, and I'm excited for it to get started.
Yeah, Glenville State about 7 points shy of what Fairmont did yesterday, but they are in the ballpark. You can see the scores from yesterday. Kutztown, even in defeat, did score their season high, so congratulations to them. Again, you want to peek at the end of the season. Frostburg State also in defeat. I thought they were terrific yesterday.
Yes, they were.
Scored their season high, so it is Fairmont and Glenville. Let's meet the Fairmont State Fighting Falcons.
Zoe Ringwald, freshman, Philomath, Oregon.
Josie Bradley, freshman, Parkersburg, West Virginia. Noelle Ellison, junior, Hartville, Ohio. Maddie Stefancic, junior, Dawson, Pennsylvania. Caitlin Haney, freshman, Fairmont, West Virginia. Emma Griffin, sophomore, Lake Forest, California. Emma Renalia, freshman, Limerick, Pennsylvania. Kaylin Joseph, junior, Frederick, Maryland. Morgan Webb, sophomore, Gent, West Virginia. Callie Way, freshman, Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Ava Nagata, sophomore, Green Lane, Pennsylvania.
Angelina Padali, freshman, Enfield, Connecticut.
Brenna Blauvelt, junior, Fairmont, West Virginia.
Macy Riggs, junior, Fairmont, West Virginia. Haley Lawrenson, junior, Jacksonville, Florida.
Carly Snyder, senior, Hamilton, Virginia.
Asia Schaefer, senior, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Kirsten Scherer, junior, Baden, Ontario, Canada.
Bella McCaffrey, senior, Enfield, Connecticut. Mackenzie Sowers, freshman, Kaiser, West Virginia.
Taryn Lawrence, senior, Euless, Texas.
McKenna Huss, sophomore, Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Allie Pollock, junior, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Kaylee Mullins, junior, Pax, West Virginia. Caitlin Clendenin, sophomore, Greenville, South Carolina.
Suri Sadie, freshman, Leawood, Kansas.
Alexa Wilson, senior, Fairmont, West Virginia.
Lizzie Maurer, graduate, Grand Ledge, Michigan. Jasmine Johnson, freshman, Williamsburg, Virginia.
Cassidy Price, senior, Oak Hill, West Virginia.
Lexi Wilkinson, junior, Bridgeport, West Virginia.
Emily Jane Washaleski, sophomore, Havre de Grace, Maryland.
Kaylee Rehack, senior, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Jacqueline Kelly, senior, Bradford Woods, Pennsylvania.
Jesse Wolf, junior, Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Aubrey Mullins, sophomore, Heber Heights, Ohio. Rowan Quinn, sophomore, Chester Springs, Pennsylvania.
The first event is the compulsory event. The compulsory event consists of 4 heats: an acro heat, a pyramid heat, a toss heat, and a tumbling heat. These skills for the compulsory event represent the basic skills of the sport of acrobatics and tumbling. In this event, each team will execute the same skills for direct comparison. Each heat begins with a starting value of 10, and the officials will be looking for execution, body positions, and stability of structures.
A stirring national anthem from Fairmont State's own Allison Nordling, who's on the softball team. Actually got to see Fairmont State softball not that long ago. Very talented group. And much like the group here in acrobatics and tumbling, hoping to go deep in the MEC tournament. Back here, everybody, Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer. It is the championship meet, Fairmont State and Glenville. We have been talking about this for more than 24 hours, longer than that really, but we've been talking about this since yesterday when the semifinals began with Fairmont State and Kutztown. Been looking forward to this, and we get the number 1 and number 2 teams meeting on the mat. It does not get any better than this.
No, it does not. And you're right. It was just a little over 24 hours, and we started yesterday, and essentially both of these teams have done 3 whole meets within a little over 24-hour period.
Yes, and that'll probably be a question when we talk with coaches at halftime. I'll be curious to hear about fatigue. I'll be curious to hear what they might have done to try and keep their athletes fresh, especially after earlier today, because I know you had mentioned to me, we were talking about it earlier after the event was over, but one of the reasons there was so much time in between the first event, the individuals, and today's team meet was because there was going to have to be some level of rest and recovery for these athletes.
Yes, absolutely. To give them a chance to recoup and to rest, and of course, again, it still comes around quickly.
So this is the compulsory event, and this is the acrobatic heat. And the first group for Glenville State, Amelia Underwood, Riley Lowther, Delaney Rosales, and Sydney West. Kinley Stanley, Alyssa Skinner, Meredith Taylor, and Savannah Duckworth make up the second group. Jessalyn Duckworth is counting.
For those of you that are watching that are new to acrobatics and tumbling, the first whole event that you will see is our compulsory. Okay, we're looking at the compulsory heats here. This is acro. And you'll see that both teams will do exactly the same elements. So they're actually competing apples to apples against each other.
Which is not what we see the entirety of this event.
Yes, and they all have a start value of 10.
Right, so that is the other part of this. So for those who joined us yesterday, we're going to repeat ourselves a bit, but we know we likely have some new viewers today, and it's worth noting the starting value is what the team declares, so they can actually declare a lower starting value than 10, but in the case of all 4 heats, both Fairmont State and Glenville in this first event have declared a starting value of 10, so they can score up to 10 points. And Christy, can you explain why would a team declare lower than a 10 to our viewers?
And as you said, with compulsory, everything is at a 10, but when you go into the acro heats and pyramid and toss and tumbling, they will declare what they can do. Different skill level, different skills that they're doing are worth different start values, and that's will determine if they can reach as close to a 10 as they can. And again, you're looking at how difficult can you go, and how can you execute without any mistakes, and that's the key. Going out and doing it perfect.
And it is worth noting, too, we saw during the individual events today, there was no compulsory portion, there's no team portion. So in many respects today, this is the first time they're doing this live. Obviously, they've practiced this, they've prepped for it, but this is the first time today. They didn't do any of this at during the 12 o'clock individual events.
That's correct.
And for Fairmont State right now, Asia Schaefer, Jesse Wolf, Macy Riggs, and Jackie Kelly, a group of upperclassmen making up their first group. Taryn Lawrence, Alexa Wilson, Cassidy Price, and Lexi Wilkinson making up the second group. Lizzie Maurer, the grad student, is counting. And and similar to Glenville, when they were on the mat moments ago, just littered with all conference players right now, both first and second team.
Looking for stability, body position, and of course synchronization.
What did you think about the recovery of number 17, Asia Schaefer, nearest to us? A little bit unstable at first and kind of caught it quickly.
She adjusted. Again, they've practiced this over and over, so they work well together with their bases. They know what they have to do in their movements, and it's that adjustment period.
So second heat getting set to go. You just saw Danielle Coutry, who is the head coach of Fairmont State, along with her staff of Virginia Krasney, Alexis Smith, and Briley Knotts, who was on this group just as recently as last year. Glenville State, the number 11 team in the nation, coached by Taylor Broadwater and her assistant Megan Banks. And Glenville about to come back out for the second heat. Take us through the compulsory pyramid, which is next.
Yes, as we look at the compulsory pyramid, you will see that they would have structures that will consist of 3 levels, and in looking at those 3 levels, that they're going to incorporate an entry, they'll have a structure, and they'll have a dismount. And you have different requirements for each of the heats for the different layers of coming through. What officials are looking at, they're looking at body positions. They're looking at the inversion, the synchronization, the open. Those are all the 3 different heats that you will be experiencing. Again, the high score could start at a 10.
This group, there will be 2 groups for Glenville State here, featuring Amelia Underwood, Kinley Stanley, Sydney O'Connor, Taryn Colfinson, a very talented base, Meredith Taylor, Savannah Duckworth, more than a few Marion County natives right there in that group, and then Carrie Ramey, Riley Lowther, Delaney Rosales, Alyssa Skinner, Sydney West, and Aubrey Ward. In the second group, Jesselyn Duckworth, who is from Grafton, will be counting. In many respects, Christy, it's a wonderful culmination of a career of whether, and you've mentioned it a couple of times on our broadcast, whether it be cheerleading, whether it be wrestling, whether it be a number of different potential sports that they came from. This is, for many of these seniors, a culmination of what their athletic career has been.
Oh, absolutely. This sport hasn't been around that long, and within the past 16 years or so, and we have athletes that are coming to us. They're gymnasts and from all areas, and again, they're very athletic, and they're coming in. Many now, they're really coming in more prepared for it because they're aware of what acrobatics and tumbling is. And we have so many programs across the country. I believe we have 55 at this time, and continuing to grow.
Right now you're seeing the replay. That's Savannah Duckworth at the top, as was Sydney West, and certainly 2 of the most talented tops in the Mountain East Conference. And mentioned it earlier, I don't have an exact scientific formula for ranking them, but I think maybe the 4 most talented tops, it's possible we have all 4 of them on the mat today.
Well, we've got very talented athletes. We do. I haven't seen all of them, so I defer to
the many
yes.
coaches. I would probably be a better question for the coaches, but they all made the all-conference team. I will say that.
Yes, they did. And you can see the synchronization plays an important part in this. When we look at that dismount, we're looking for those high catches. I think we saw both teams do that very well.
That's a very veteran-laden group for Fairmont State, by the way. Multiple seniors in the first group. Taryn Lawrence, Alexa Wilson, and Kaylee Rehack, all seniors. Lizzie Maurer, Cassidy Price, and Jackie Kelly, all seniors as well. And a handful of underclassmen, Morgan Webb, McKenna Huss, and Mackenzie Sowers out there. And again, it's kind of, we were talking about this earlier today a little bit, but that is a little bit of the challenge as an underclassman, getting sort of into meets early. The synchronization is a process.
Yes, it's like any other sport that you've got to learn the program. You've got to learn how to do it, and again, the resilience that it takes, and of course, it's a lot of practice. And many times, it's the coach is going for what works best for them.
The compulsory toss is what is next. Glenville State here will feature Amelia Underwood, Carrie Ramey, Kinley Stanley, and Sydney O'Connor, along with Sydney West. And then Riley Lowther in the other group, Aubrey Ward, Taryn Colfinson, Meredith Taylor, and Savannah Duckworth. Jillian Hine is counting.
Officials are looking for height, amplitude, and within our official panel, we have 5 officials, and we have 2 that are focusing on bases, looking just at the footwork and making sure the bases don't travel to the right or to the left or even backwards during the toss, and making sure the toss is going straight up and back down. Looking at opening, when they open, when they kick out, all important parts.
Coaching staff for Glenville looked very happy after that last heat. We'll see what Fairmont can do to respond here. This next group for the toss, Taryn Lawrence, Macy Riggs, Mackenzie Sowers, Lexi Wilkinson, and Jackie Kelly. Asia Schaefer, Callie Way, Ava Nagata, Alexa Wilson, Casty Price. In the second group, Kaylee Rehak is counting. And mentioned Taryn Lawrence. Asia Schaefer, of course, is the other extremely talented senior, and they will both be at the top of these structures. And you'll want to keep an eye on them, of course, as well, and how they're performing, because their performance later in the 5th event, the tumbling event, will be critical in terms of scoring this. But that is still to come. Lot of action in between that.
You can see how focused they are. Yep, and I mean, they're really listening to the counts. They're communicating with their bases. It's all about timing.
And good response there. I think the coaching staff for Fairmont State thrilled there as well. So we'll see a lot of smiles, though, and I think that's because not a lot of mistakes early on here from what I can tell. Again, granted, I've gotten a real crash course this weekend in this, but it has been an impressive start. And that will bring us to the final heat of event number 1, which is the compulsory tumbling event. Do you want to take us through this one a little bit?
Yes, and when you look at the compulsory tumbling, you're going to see 8 individual athletes who will do a series of different skills that are standing and running, and they will be evaluated on their timing, any type of steps that they take, their technique, also their synchronization of doing everything together at the same time. So we're going to see scores a little bit lower in this area than we do in the other 3 heats.
This will be Amelia Underwood, Kinley Stanley, Trinity Coltolino, who was terrific in the individual events today, Sydney O'Connor, Samantha Root, Meredith Taylor, Sydney West, and Savannah Duckworth.
I think we can say that both teams are really coming out of the gates full force today.
They look very focused, which I can't say I'm surprised by, knowing and understanding a conference championship on the line. And for Glenville, they've got no guarantee of anything beyond this today, so there's sort of got to be a feeling of leave it all out there.
Absolutely. I mean, you always want to win that conference. You want to win that tournament.
I'll be very curious to see as the sport continues to grow, and you mentioned earlier up to 55 programs now across the nation, many of which are more Eastern-based, but starting to slowly spread west, and there are a couple of very good teams in the Southwest and the Northwest right now. But as it continues to grow, I think we only have 2 conferences at the moment. Would expect to see some additional conferences as this sport, now in its first year as an NCAA program, continues to expand.
I agree. I think that, as we're seeing it starting to grow more and more. And, again, the conference play really helps the schools to work, and for travel with each other and to compete against each other and, to build up the school pride in the process. The officials right now are working on their scoring, and we will hear those here in just a few minutes.
Fairmont State will still have 1 heat to go, but There are occasionally unexpected gaps. Usually it means that the officials are doing something particularly complicated, but sounds like Fairmont State has been given the green light. So let's meet this group of Falcons. Kaylin Joseph, Noelle Ellison, Jackie Kelly, Ava Nagata, Kaylee Mullins, freshman of the year in the MEC Cali Way. Another talented freshman. We saw her earlier today in a winning event for the Falcons. Jasmine Johnson and Asia Schaefer. And if you can hear the counting, that is Cassidy Price, by the way, on counting. Strong finish for the Falcons. All right, so okay. We're going to get a quick look, one more look here, and Christy, Fairmont State, thought strong finish there, and yes. Good first event overall.
Absolutely. You see a couple little steps here and there going through, and those, of course, officials will catch that, and that's where their score will reflect it, but a good overall strong.
We're going to go ahead and take our first break in between events. We'll have scores when we return from event number 1. Coming up next, we have the Acro event, and we've already seen some of this today in the individual championships. We'll talk about that coming back on the other side here on MEC TV.
The second event is the Acro event. This marks the beginning of the optional portion of the meet. Each team will compete with skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There will be between 2 and 4 athletes in a group on the floor in each of the 3 heats. Heat 1 has 5 elements, Heat 2 has 6 elements, and Heat 3 has 7 elements. The start value is determined by the difficulty and combination of each skill. In addition, each position must be held for 3 seconds. This event demonstrates power, strength, and balance.
All right, so a narrow Fairmont State lead by about 1.725. And worth noting, comparing back to last time when these two teams met, Glenville State actually narrowly won this event, and they scored a little lower than last time by about 2 points. Fairmont State just edged out their score last time, so Falcons, strong start for them.
Yes, it is.
But that does bring us now into the Acro 5-element heat. We saw a little of this earlier, and this was a very, very strong individual event for Glenville earlier.
Yes, this is one of the events that they won this earlier today.
Savannah Duckworth has the Glenville section pretty pumped at the moment. Duckworth, Taryn Colfinson, and Carrie Ramey, Emma Bocall counting. So that's a spot where you're looking for Glenville to make up some points here.
As you're watching the replay, you'll see that Savannah Duckworth is going into a hand-in-hand. Nice hold. Good 3-second hold. Good pike through. Your pike has to be a minimum of parallel, but she goes beyond that.
I mentioned it earlier, but the smile on her face, I think we get a pretty good idea of how she feels about how she did.
Yes, I believe so too.
I don't think that's a poker face for the officials.
Agreed.
So for Fairmont State coming out, Asia Schaefer, Ava Nagata, Cassidy Price, and Jackie Kelly. Maddie Stefancic will count.
And Fairmont State has a start value of a 9.95 for the Heat 1 for Acro.
And that runs just slightly, 0.05 behind Glenville. They had a start value of 10 there. Worth noting for the match, the start value for Fairmont, so they can max out at 290.54, which would be exceptional, and Glenville can max out at 285.35, which would also be exceptional. Glenville scored a little over 254 and change yesterday. Falcons were just over 260 yesterday. When they met earlier this season, Fairmont won this particular heat. Glenville won the individual championship today, which is going to make the scoring for this very, very curious, because very clear Glenville's coming on at the right time in this particular event.
Now, one thing we must remember that they may not be doing the exact same elements. Compulsory, they have to. But when we start comparing the future, you know, the acro, pyramid, toss, they do change athletes sometimes, and they do change elements. So we have to go back and really double check and see what elements were done at that point if we want to do a true comparison.
So the second heat, the sixth element, will feature two groups. For Glenville, Amelia Underwood, Kinley Stanley, Alyssa Skinner, and Sydney West. And the second group will be Delaney Rosales, Samantha Root, Jillian Hine, and Meredith Taylor. Jesselyn Duckworth will count.
And we see Glenville State will have a start value of a 9.85.
All right, so we do have an update as this is going on. Looks like there was a score adjustment for Fairmont State in the tumbling round. It was about an adjustment of 0.505, it looks like. Or, sorry, 0.5 even. My math skills have never been strong.
Again, you can see that 3-second hold.
And for those who are watching, that was Sydney West and Samantha Root on the hold and then the land. So we do have an updated score. They adjusted Fairmont State's tumbling number down. So that does happen. We saw that yesterday in one of the meets. But that has made things even tighter here in Fairmont. So now for the Falcons. Their first group, Kaylin Joseph, Macy Riggs, Jesse Wolf, and Morgan Webb. And then Kaylee Mullins, McKenna Huss, Taryn Lawrence, and Kaylee Rehak. Callie Way on the count. Does the count become more important when we're doing the synchronized events?
Yes, it does. I believe it does. Again, you know, we can't see each other, and it's hard to watch anyone you're inverted. So they really listen to that, and that's how they communicate.
They look like they feel pretty good about that. That was Mullins and Joseph on the landing at the end.
So we have one more heat to go, heat 3 for Acro.
So 7 elements here, and it'll be for Glenville. And we've seen this, they don't use the full amount here. Amelia Underwood, Riley Lowther, and Sydney West. They only use 3, and then a counter, Sydney O'Connor, but only 3 athletes competing in this one. And that's something they very clearly feel comfortable with.
Yes, that's part of their strategy with the athletes and the coaches, and determining what skills they're going to do and the athletes that they need for it.
Looked like Fairmont's sink got better as it went along. We'll have to see what the officials think. So here we go. This is the final heat of the second event. And then we'll be into the pyramid, which, as I recall, was a particular strength for Fairmont State today.
Yes, it was.
I think did they sweep that round?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So if you're Glenville, this has been a strength today, and ideally you'd like to make up more than a few points here. Impressive work at the end there. That was Bridgeport native Amelia Underwood as the base alone at the end of that.
Yes, Glenville won the third event.
So Glenville won in the individual. They took 2 out of 3 events here, yeah.
At the Acro.
Yeah, that's right. So earlier today, they took 2 out of 3. We're just going back over our individual results from earlier. But yeah, this was a particular area of strength for Glenville. Now, Fairmont is next, and their group consists of a very veteran group. Taryn Lawrence, Alexa Wilson, Lizzie Maurer, all upperclassmen, and Lexi Wilkinson, who is an upperclassman but a junior, so still with a year of eligibility. Taryn Lawrence drawing more than a few applause here.
When they hit the position, you can see that big smile come out.
What a finish for that group. So we have gone through 7 heats now, 2 events, and we'll get the scores coming up here shortly and find out if this is tightened up or if Fairmont State has been able to extend their lead. Glenville, of course, as mentioned, this was a particular strength for them. We'll have to see what the officials think when we return.
Yes,
Back in a moment here on the Mountain East Sports Network on MEC TV. All right, the scores are in for the Acro round. Fairmont State very narrowly outscores Glenville on the strength of their second and third heat. And when I say narrowly, we're talking 300ths, not even 300ths of a point. And that extends Fairmont State's lead ever so slightly to 1.4 through 2 events. So now for the pyramid, what are we looking for? What do you think the teams are hoping to accomplish in the eyes of the officials?
Well, again, they're trying to execute each skill without any movement. Okay, we're coming down. And they're focusing on trying to keep everything nice and clean. And again, this is the 3 levels. And again, as you notice that if they miss or come down early, they go back up to try to continue so they can get their last elements in.
Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer here with you on MEC TV. Fairmont State and Glenville State in the 3rd event of 6, the final event of the first half. And that was the first of 3 heats for the pyramid. So for Glenville there, that was Amelia Underwood, Carrie Ramey, Kinley Stanley, Riley Lowther, Delaney Rosales, Sydney O'Connor, Taryn Colfinson, Savannah Duckworth, and then Samantha Bragg was the counter there. And you can see here there was the...
Yes, the first heat, they have to do an inverted position, an inverted body position. You could do it at different levels, and they have the skill level to do a hand-in-hand, which is a fully extended. And you can see that, unfortunately, it just kind of shifted forward a little bit. And again, athletes are taught how to catch and how to keep everyone safe. And those that are executing the skills know how to fall as well.
It's also worth noting here that this is, for many of them, the second time they've done some of these events today.
Absolutely, and their endurance, they have to be tired. They all will sleep well tonight.
Yeah, that is most certainly true. When we get a look at Fairmont State coming out here, Taryn Lawrence, Ava Nagata, Macy Riggs, McKenna Huss, Alexa Wilson, Lizzie Maurer, Lexi Wilkinson, Jackie Kelly, and Jessie Wolf. And Callie Way will be the counter here.
Sometimes you'll see that it takes a little bit longer when we have something incident that occurs for the officials to calculate the scores.
So Fairmont State has not yet been given the all clear here. Now, going back, if we look back when they first met in mid-March, Fairmont State narrowly edged out in the acro as well, but by a little bit more. So Glenville actually improved on that. Both teams actually improved on their numbers. Glenville improved on the margin, though.
And you can hear the counter counting, and they usually do go to 4, just so that there's not a question that they held it for 3.
All right, so that will bring us to the second heat now. And we'll get a look for Fairmont here one more time at Taryn Lawrence. And while this is such an impressive structure, it's her and Maurer at the very top there.
A lot of trust.
For this second heat for Glenville, Amelia Underwood, Kinley Stanley, Aubrey Ward. This is Ward's first appearance in the pyramid round. Savannah Duckworth, Riley Lowther, Delaney Rosales, Taryn Colfinson, and Sydney West. This is West's first appearance as well in the pyramid round.
And again, with the 2 structures, officials are looking for synchronization. The timing, all aspects is when they load in. go to the top of their skill level and dismount. It's good to see that Glenville is able to refocus and to pick right back up. They're not letting the bobble before affect them.
There's a much stronger heat there, and that's really the name of the game. You just don't have time to have a long memory right now.
You're exactly right. You've got to pick up and move forward.
So for Fairmont State here, this is going to be, again, two groups here. Taryn Lawrence, Alexa Wilson, Caitlin Clendenin, and that's going to be her first appearance in this pyramid event. Kaylee Rehack, her first appearance in this event. Lizzie Maurer, Maddie Stefancic, Isabella McCaffrey, Macy Riggs, McKenna Huss, Mackenzie Sowers, EJ Vasilevsky, and Rowan Quinn. Jesse Wolf will be counting.
And you'll see that in our pyramid heats, each heat has a 10 start value, both for Glenville State and Fairmont State.
This will be the last time today that they have perfect start values for every heat of an event. So in the second half, there will be a few 10s out there, but there will be no full 10s in any of the events. That one drew quite the reaction from the crowd.
And the athletes know when they hit something and it's to the best of their ability.
What did you like most about this particular heat?
I really like the synchronization. You don't realize how difficult it is on this dismount to come down and land exactly together. And you could hear them when they hit the mat. I mean, it was right on point.
So while we wait for the officials to finish up their audit of that second heat, we'll introduce Glenville's athletes for for the third heat of the pyramid event. Amelia Underwood, Riley Lowther, Delaney Rosales, Taryn Colfinson, and Sydney West. Carrie Ramey will be counting. Underwood and Lowther, both locals, by the way, Bridgeport and Fairmont, respectively. So very close to home. I would be not surprised at all if they had quite the cheering section here. That looked like a very clean landing, Christy.
It was very smooth.
All right, so that is Glenville's first half in the books. Fairmont State will get one chance to respond, and we will not know the scores until 3 minutes until the second half is set to begin. We will get a chance to talk with both head coaches, Danielle Kutry and Taylor Broadwater, coming up. Looking forward to hearing what both of them have to say. They've had a busy weekend and a busy day. In some ways today, I think probably more challenging than yesterday.
Agree. They only had to compete once yesterday, twice today. Yeah, the first half has gone by very quickly, hasn't it?
Speeding by here. All right, so this is our final heat of the first half. Fairmont State will bring out Taryn Lawrence, Caitlin Clendenin, Alexa Wilson, Lexi Wilkinson, Kaylee Rehack, and then Jesse Wolf is counting, and more than a few all-conference players on the floor right now. Cloud of dust there at the end. I assume that was Taryn Lawrence.
Getting rid of that excess chalk on her hands. Well, you can see they both did the same structure, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be difficult to see if one comes above the other on that one from my perspective.
We'll get another look at that here in just a moment. Falcons are very pleased with how that one went. Quite a bit of celebrating down there, and strong performance. Caitlin Clendenin working as sort of the bridge there on top of the base. And then Lawrence did her thing. All right, so we won't know the scores for a little bit for that third event, and the scores for the entirety of the first half we'll know when we know the scores for the third event. So for now, might be a good time to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk with coaches from both Glenville State and Fairmont State here, MEC Championship of the Acrobatics and Tumbling in the Mountain East Conference. Back in a moment. We have Coach Danielle Coutry of Fairmont State with us, and Coach, a very fun and quick first half, but I am kind of curious. We've been talking about this all day. This is a challenging day where you have the individual championships first, so I'm kind of curious. I know you guys have been prepping all season for this, but how did you prep to do basically two major events in one day?
I think it's all about your mindset. We don't look at it as two major events. We're just coming in and doing our job, getting it done, and looking forward to what's next. This week we had two back-to-back hard impact practices kind of to help us with this, but I really think it's all about your mindset. You can't look at it as two hard things in one day. It's just stepping up into your best self, being where your feet are, and then just enjoying the moment, and I think that helps us. It's all about your mindset.
Coach Coutry, looking at the first half so far, could you tell me what really stands out in your mind from your athletes?
I would have to say their energy right now. I'm so proud of them for their roles. My seniors are really stepping up into their roles right now. It doesn't matter, not everything's perfect, but they're stepping into who they are, and I'm just really proud of them. I think we had a pretty solid first half. In the second half, we have to step up and do our job, and I think we'll do that just fine.
Coach, congratulations on a great season, but good luck for the second half, and we will talk with you again soon.
Thank you.
That's Coach Danielle Coutry. We're going to chat with Taylor Broadwater as well, head coach of Glenville State. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. We're still about 6 minutes away from getting results here in Fairmont from that third event and for the totality of the first half, but I think both coaches likely fairly pleased with what they saw. We'll learn more when we return here on MEC TV. We're still a few minutes away from getting scores for that first half. Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer here with you on MEC TV, and Fairmont State and Glenville State at halftime of the Acrobatics and Tumbling Championship here, and very strong. And I was looking back at how some things went down the first time around. So you go back and first look at this bracket here. Fairmont State, strong performance yesterday against Kutztown, and even though Kutztown scored a season high, they get a pretty sizable win. Glenville had to really sweat it out against Frostburg. That was down to the final event, and Frostburg narrowly won the final event, but not enough to make up the difference from how strong Glenville was in the first five events.
Well, and again, we have to take into consideration that we had, Fairmont State was going against the number 4 team, so you have more of a cushion there, where when you have two teams that are back-to-back, such as Glenville State and Frostburg State, then it makes it almost anyone's opportunities. They could come out on top depending on how they execute their skills.
Yeah, that is a difference of 5.055, which is essentially in line, a slightly higher margin than Glenville won by the first time against Frostburg State. But when I say slightly, I really do mean an almost negligible difference. We're talking about less than a point, I believe, in total. The last time Fairmont and Glenville met, so looking back a little bit further, we talked about the compulsory, and Fairmont won the compulsory last time very narrowly. Now, they won it by a little bit more today, not by much. The acro is what was interesting. Glenville won the acro event last time, but the margin this time was much tighter. It was almost even in the acrobatics.
You're correct. As we look at the scores, and again, these can change. I mean, they're just such slight, levels of difference between them that at any minute, any event, we can see a change go through.
We've had one adjustment today. We have not received any indication of one coming, but it's worth noting. So Fairmont won the acro segment by 0.02. I'm sorry, did I get my math right? 0.225 is, yes. I believe I've got my math right there, which is. I'm not even sure. What does that represent on the mat? I'm curious how tight that is.
Well, again, that's how tight it is.
Yeah.
It's very minimal. And, we're still early in the meet. I mean, so much can happen. And we can see meets really flip in the second half.
Now, Glenville did have a little trouble in the first heat of the pyramid. And we're going to talk with Coach Taylor Broadwater in a moment. The last time these two teams met, it was a 0.15 difference in the pyramid round. So very, very tight. Coach Broadwater is with us now. Coach, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, tell me a little bit about preparation for this. You guys had a very long day today, 15 events in the individual meet this afternoon, and then this evening in this one. It's a lot of work. How do you prep for something like this?
Honestly, we compete, and then the very next day we have practice again, and we're in the weight room at 6 a.m. They're ready for anything that's thrown at them.
And Coach Broadwater, as you look at the first half coming through, what highlights do you really focus on? What do you feel that you really can say they did a fantastic job with that you're really proud of?
My team's energy. I cannot deny. I think their energy is next level, and I'm extremely proud of everything that they've executed thus far.
Coach, thanks so much, and good luck the rest of the way in the second half.
Thank you so much.
That's Coach Taylor Broadwater, and we are closing in on the start of the second half. We're going to take one final break, and when we return, we'll have the scores for you for both the pyramid event and the totality of the first half. Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer here with you on MEC TV. There is not a lot of separation between these two. There's a little more now. That was a much stronger set for Fairmont, nearly perfect, as they had starting values of 10 across the board, and they nearly hit them. Not many errors to speak of. Obviously, Glenville with the one issue in the inversion in Heat 1, but otherwise strong in Heat 2, strong in Heat 3. Falcons open up that lead just a little bit with that pyramid victory. This is what it looks like now. Glenville at 90 even, and Fairmont State 93.725. So the Falcons lead by just under 4 points. We're going to take a look now at what the fourth event has in store for us, the toss.
The fourth event is the toss event. In the toss event, you will see 4 athletes toss a teammate into the air. The teammate tossed into the air, known as a top, will execute a flip or twist before being caught. There are 3 heats in this event. The synchronized toss features 2 toss groups. These groups should look exactly alike and be in sync. The start value of the toss depends on the skills that the top executes in the air. Officials will be looking for height, the top's body position, and tight catches by the bases.
So Glenville State with a little bit of work to do, but it is worth noting here, somewhere around 40 to 60% of the points available are going to come in 2 events in this second half, and those are events 5 and 6. So here for the toss, Glenville State will send out Amelia Underwood, Carrie Ramey, Kinley Stanley, Sydney O'Connor, and Savannah Duckworth. Jesselyn Duckworth is on the count here.
And this toss has a 10.00 start value.
That will be the 450 salto will be the only start value of 10 for Glenville in this fourth event. What did you think of Duckworth there?
Very nice. Very good height. Everything looked good, as you can see on the replay. Again, the officials have that criteria, what they're looking for height, amplitude, body placement, high catches in the cradle. I could go on and on.
Is our requirement we just be entertained then?
I think so.
Okay. In the first heat for Fairmont State, Taryn Lawrence, Macy Riggs, Mackenzie Sowers, Lexi Wilkinson, and Jackie Kelly. Kaylee Rehack will be on the count.
And this start value is a 9.9, and the difference between the two skills of what you saw from Glenville State and Fairmont State is that Glenville State had a kick in front of their double twist. Fairmont State does not have a kick in this one.
Now, Fairmont State, the last time these two teams met, won this by less than 1 point. As you noted, though, there can be changes in these performances and the elements that they include. They can change players as well. It's not a guarantee that it's exactly what they did the last time they met.
True, correct. And sometimes, an athlete gets injured or maybe somebody gets a different skill and they've been working on and it's ready to put into the meet. And that's, what they'll do. And they'll make those changes.
So, this second heat, this is the synchronized one. 2 groups for Glenville coming out in a moment once the officials have finished their tallies. Amelia Underwood, Carrie Ramey, Kinley Stanley, and Sydney O'Connor, along with Savannah Duckworth. That's Group 1. Group 2 will feature Riley Lowther, Aubrey Ward, Taryn Colfinson, Meredith Taylor, Sydney West, and Jillian Hine is on the count. This is where we see Glenville's youth a little bit here. There will be 4 sophomores out on the floor right now.
And again, they have a start value of 9.40.
Terrific experience one way or another if you're a sophomore, knowing that you have a chance to do this 2 more times in your career.
Again, with two structures out there, you have synchronization that comes into play. And I think when we watch the replay, we'll see that they really look pretty well synchronized.
Answered the question before I could even ask it. That was good. We've been doing this. This is good. This is our 4th event in 2 days.
We're starting to.
Yeah, the chemistry is building. Yes. But that was what I was going to ask you. It looked like they're pretty synced here.
Yes, they are.
Now, we have the benefit of this replay, so
absolutely.
We'll see. But I think that one may go down pretty well for Glenville when all is said and done. Now let's see what Fairmont State has to offer in this event. Asia Schaefer, Callie Way, Ava Nagata, Alexa Wilson, Cassidy Price. That's a lot of, and I say this figuratively, hardware on the floor since there's a lot of awards that were won by this group. Taryn Lawrence, Macy Riggs, Mackenzie Sowers, Lexi Wilkinson, Jackie Kelly, and Kaylee Rehack. Rehack will be the counter.
And again, they will have a start value of a 9.9. Now, the difference between what we just saw a second ago and this one is this group will do 2 full twists in the air. And that's where the extra half a point comes in. Their synchronization looked pretty much on point as well. Of course, we get to see that replay here, so we can tell again, right?
Lawrence and Schaefer there for folks watching at home. Boy, he looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
You could tell by Taryn Lawrence's reaction, too, at the end. I think she knows. Again, the athlete's reaction has been, and the coach's reactions have been pretty telling.
And we have one more heat left in toss. Toss, the event goes by very quickly. Doesn't take very long to throw a body up in the air and catch it, does it?
Apparently not. Pioneers, though, showing great energy, singing and dancing. So for this one, Riley Lowther, Aubrey Ward, Taryn Colfinson, Meredith Taylor, Sydney West, and Delaney Rosales, the specialist of the year in the Mountain East Conference, is on the count. What do you think the officials are looking for here in this third heat?
And according to their start value, it looks like they're going to do the same toss that they did for the second heat. Officials are going to look for the body position, amplitude, the height again, their overall technique. And really watching those bases, making sure those bases don't move. And if you paid attention to that, their feet did not move. They were planted into the mats.
Much like a basketball player taking a charge, keeping an eye on feet. You can see it there right in front of you, folks.
Good analogy.
They really did not move. Wow. For Fairmont State, Asia Schaefer, Callie Way, Ava Nagata, and then, 4 seniors, including Schaefer, Alexa Wilson, Cassidy Price, and Kaylee Rehack on the count here.
And with our start value, we will see that they have a start value of a 10.
And this is the only perfect start value in this heat, or in this event, excuse me. And the Falcons won this event when they met in the regular season by 0.85. Again, the margins here have been comically small. So that will do it for the fourth event. All 3 heats are complete, and you shouldn't go anywhere because this is where the numbers will really start to pile on coming up. The tumbling event and the team event are where huge amounts, about 60% of your score, can come from these final 2 events. That is next, right after this break on MEC TV.
The event is the tumbling event. This event has 6 heats. The first 3 are synchronized group tumbling passes, a duo, trio, and quad tumbling pass. The last 3 are individual tumbling passes. The start value of each heat are determined by the difficulty and combination of skills in each heat. Officials will be looking for body position, continuity of skills, and technique in each skill.
We have the scores in, and a very narrow Fairmont win, 0.9, though Glenville does win the 450 salto. Fairmont takes the other 2 heats and ultimately wins the event. Again, all that matters is cumulative score, and the cumulative score is, again, awfully tight at the moment. Fairmont State won by 10 and change the last time they met. Right now they lead by just under 5, about 4.5. And that will bring us to the critical 5th event. So we start with the duo for tumbling, and it is going to be Glenville. And boy, this felt like a duel between these 2 earlier today when we watched in the individuals. They were just back and forth. So Trinity Coltolino, a freshman who was outstanding in the individual events, along with Savannah Duckworth.
Synchronization was on. Now it's going to come down to technique.
So now Fairmont State with Asia Schaefer and Taryn Lawrence. And again, this is kind of what I was talking about. The tops are great. The tumblers, though, have been outstanding for both of these programs as well. We seem to have gone through, we're into a mid-2000s phase here with the music. Went from NSYNC, late 90s, early 2000s, now into Justin Timberlake. So really just a whole boy band vibe we got going on right now. As the officials get ready to score, or I should say finish scoring. Now, I will say, Glenville only scored 7-7-5 the last time on that duo. I suspect that number will be higher this go around.
Good.
And strong there. Lawrence, as I recall, in the individual event, didn't have the best landing in the individual event, and it was, from my amateur eyes, close to perfect there.
And the synchronization was definitely on, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Now that only gets harder as we go along here. There's less mat to go around. The trio is next. Kinley Stanley, Sydney O'Connor, and Sydney West for Glenville.
And again, with Glenville, they have a start value of 8.75.
Kinley Stanley from Nashville, Tennessee, a West Virginia State transfer. The last time these teams met, the trio pass was extremely tight. Came down to 0.05 difference.
Yeah, the synchronization was on. Again, we talked about, 1.5s. It is a blind landing, and it looked like her feet just kicked out in front of her. Just a little bit too much, and she just sat back on it.
Glenville's starting value there was 8.75. Fairmont 9.25 for this one, and they will feature Callie Way, the freshman of the year in the Mountain East Conference, Ava Nagata, and Kaylee Mullins. The landings all looked strong there.
Yes, they did. Good synchronization. Yeah, that extra half a point and that start value comes from the whip that they included in that pass. Whip through to 1.5.
So now this is where it gets much tighter. This is the quad coming up. A lot less mat to work with. Glenville has a starting value of 8. Delaney Rosales, Samantha Root, Jillian Hine, Meredith Taylor. Rosales, the specialist of the year in the Mountain East Conference. Take us through, what does it take to win, to be even considered for specialist of the year?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I guess I'm curious, how do they define specialist?
Well, when you look at a specialist, that's the person who does that. They're not the tumbler. They're not, specifically maybe the top of going through, but they're that could be that strong base that you have. It could be a mid layer. It could be that person that is not that tumbler coming through.
Gotcha. Okay. Root is on the far left. Rosales is center left. Jillian Hines a little bit further back, center right. And then on the far right is Meredith Taylor. Taylor, a local, by the way. Not the only one. Seven.
Who's their tumbling?
Fairmont State will now get their opportunity on the quad. Noelle Ellison, Suri Sadie, who is a freshman, Jasmine Johnson, a freshman, and EJ Vasilevsky. This was a strong event for Fairmont earlier today in the individuals.
Yes, it was. They have a start value of 8.75. They will be doing a 1.5.
Sadie is on the left, Ellison center left, Johnson center right, and Vasilevsky far right. Terrific reaction from the coach, Danielle Coutry. I think she's pretty happy with what she saw from tumblers there. High fives all around from the assistants and from the team. You can see on the replay here, landings look good.
Yep. And again, you have duo, trio, quad, and you cannot have any crossovers. So you have to have a little breadth in your team that you can have high-level tumbling, quality of high-level tumbling of 9 different individuals, because that's where your duo, trio, and quad come in.
Now we get into the aerial. The next 3 events, this is probably, I think, some of the most fun. These are the solo events. So for Glenville State, Savannah Duckworth in the aerial. But she's essentially going head-to-head with Taryn Lawrence. And these are 2 of the best tops, 2 of the best tumblers in the Mountain East Conference. And both recognized as all-conference. Savannah Duckworth winning Athlete of the Year. You can see exactly why. What a finish.
Very nice pass.
The celebratory split at the end was a little off balance, but they will not be auditing the celebration, I don't think. You can see, if you're watching right now, you can see on the Fairmont State side, they are getting some last-minute practice in as well for that team event, which, of course, is our 6th and final event coming up shortly, and likely will decide the winner. But for now, the aerial, here's Lawrence. This is a terrific response here from Lawrence. These are going to be, I think, two of the highest scorers for sure.
They both had a 10 start value.
Now in the next event, it's a 9.55, or excuse me, next heat, 9.55 start value, and it is sophomore Sydney West. We'll get a look at here in just a moment. Glenville also getting in some last-minute practice as well. Most of the team is not active in this particular part of the fifth event, so they can get some last-minute work done prepping for the team event. That's what we're seeing from Glenville now as they wait to give Sydney West the all-clear here. She's getting some last-minute words of advice from Megan Banks. What you can't see is the whole team has their eyes on her now, though. No more practicing when she's ready to go. So Sydney West completes her heat. She'll be going up against Zoe Ringwald, who, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if we still have that individual sheet. I believe Ringwald won this event earlier for Fairmont.
I believe she did too.
Now, what we don't know is we don't know how tight the scores were because they don't reveal the full scores. They announce the winner in the individual events. So it is entirely possible, based on what we just saw, that it could be as narrow as we expect it to be. And for the Falcons, they're hoping to build up a little bit more of a cushion. It is worth noting.
And again, she has a 10 start value. And she's doing this in 6 elements.
When they went into the 6th event last time, it was only a 4-point difference. So for Fairmont, they'd love to pad that number as much as possible. They're running a little ahead of that at the moment. Ringwald, just a freshman coming all the way over from Oregon. And then it's the, I don't think that's actually the Heisman. It might be, but it's a pseudo Heisman pose. We'd have to talk to her to know exactly what the pose is, but that's tremendous.
Very strong pass.
All right, so we have 2 more tumblers in this 6th heat. And both have already had exceptional days today. Trinity Cultolino, a freshman, helped Glenville take home 5 events in the individuals today. And she'll go up against Asia Schaefer, competing head-to-head here in the Open. This is the final heat of the 5th event. Starting value for that one, by the way, was 10. So that's only one of 2 spots where they had a starting value of 10 in this event. Fairmont has 3 starting values of 10. This will be the 3rd as they bring in Asia Schaefer. Asia Schaefer will bring us into the final event, the all-conference player. What a finish. So that's it, 5 events in the books, and of course we do not have the scores yet, but Fairmont State, I guess the big question is, did they do what they needed to do to hold off Glenville? Did Glenville do what they needed to do to narrow this? We don't know, but that was tight.
It was. And again, it's going to come down to team routine. I mean, it's going to come down to the team event.
We're going to step aside for a moment here on MEC TV. When we come back, we'll have the scores from that 5th event and the ultimate finale, the team event, critical moment coming up here on MEC TV.
This event is the team event. This event encompasses everything you just watched in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time, performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Key items for officials to evaluate include synchronization of skills, stability of the structures, body position, and technique of the tumbling. This is a very fast-paced event, so be sure to keep your eyes on the mat.
Scores are in for tumbling, and Fairmont State does edge out Glenville here. They extend their lead narrowly by about 3 points, a little more than 3.3 to be exact. And now they lead by just shy of 8 points. And this is actually a larger lead than the Falcons had going into the team event, which they won the last time these two teams met. So this is big for Glenville State here. They need to have kind of a very big team event for themselves.
Yes, and we have to keep into consideration, too, when we look at the scores, that we do have a 5 official panel, and so that has a tendency to affect our scores. Be a little bit harsher.
There will be 19 competitors here for Glenville State, a starting value of 100.85. And they both had excellent performances the last time. Glenville scored an 83 in the first meeting. Fairmont State scored a 90-plus in the first meeting, which is a high bar. They have 2 minutes and 45 seconds, 30 seconds of which is already gone. Pioneers looking to win the MEC championship, the number 11 team in the nation. How often do teams generally practice these team routines?
Well, they really practice more segments each piece. And as you see, many of these segments that you see in the team event, actually they did it earlier in acro and pyramid and toss, and they put them together. So they practice, have days they have tumbling. They don't practice it every single day put together as the choreography is structured. But, they do different events on different days. They'll have tumbling days, they'll have pyramid days and acro days they work through. Some days they'll go through and practice and not execute all the skills in them. They just work on timing.
They are now down to 60 seconds. Glenville's best number this year in this event They scored just over 86 points against West Liberty. They'll need something similar here, if not a little more. They're down to their final stretch here, 10 seconds to go.
Now they can start breathing. They're going to their dance. You can see the smiles.
If that is their season, I think they can certainly be proud of what they have accomplished.
Absolutely. You can tell they really put it all out there on the mat. If you'd like to find out more about the NCATA, please go to the NCATA.org, and you will find all types of information about everything from recruiting, the different teams across the country, anything you want to know.
So while we wait, Fairmont State is going to have 24 in this event. I'm obviously not going to list them all, but 24 active in this event. And again, we saw just as recently as during the downtime of the 5th event, practicing for this. A lot of fun on the Glenville side here. They are lifting Coach Broadwater up. Nothing to sneeze at being the 11th team in the country.
Absolutely. Out of what, 55?
Yes, out of 55. And we'll see the final 8 seeded on Monday, so tomorrow. And with every expectation that whatever happens, regardless of what happens here, Fairmont State will be among them.
It's been a great 2 days.
It really has. The performance has been excellent.
Oh, it has. It goes by so quickly. You feel like, oh my gosh, we've got a long time till, but it just starts and it's gone.
There's 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock.
You can see the fans at Fairmont State. They're cheering, getting them ready, trying to get them motivated and excited to go. All standing.
Now, Fairmont State has broken 90 a couple of times this season. They've generally been in that mid-80s number for most of the year. But they have hit low 90s, and I know, as you mentioned yesterday, that's a heck of a get if you can get into that low 90s range.
Well, absolutely, and especially if you have a 5-panel judge, 5-panel officials that are there, that makes it a little more difficult. Again, they're looking at what they can control, and that's what their actions are on the floor.
Most recently, yesterday in this event, Fairmont State a little bit on the lower side, an 82, which, as you noted, of course, five-person panel makes that a little different. Likely 82 probably would be enough, but it would be a little tighter than they would probably be happy with.
Yeah, well, and I think yesterday that they didn't have a complete clean routine. So I'm sure their focus now today is to clean up everything that they weren't happy with yesterday and going through, but still, they still scored very well in spite.
This is it for the Mountain East Conference season and the Mountain East Conference Championship. Four simultaneous structures.
I'm sure they're happy to see that over with, because that's one of the structures that came down yesterday. It always makes you feel good when you work past that.
seeing also every athlete who is not participating for Fairmont, and it's not much, but every athlete who is not participating along with the coaches are essentially helping with the count. Now closing in on the midway point of Fairmont State's routine. How many seconds was that hold?
I don't know. I think it's longer than 3. What do you think?
I think so.
But, of course, it has to be 3 from the release when they hold the wrist. These are the featured tumblers coming through.
Got a good look there at Zoe Ringwald. So far, looking more crisp than yesterday.
Oh, yes, much better. So they're happy with what they have so far.
They have 30 seconds left now. Another really good landing for Jasmine Johnson there.
And the tosses. Oh, now they're bringing on home. I love to watch all the teams when they get into the dance part because you can tell they're just like, oh, relieved. You know, we're done.
The easy part of the routine.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's incredibly impressive from Fairmont State. What a finish to the Mountain East Conference season.
Absolutely. I don't think they could ask for anything more. I mean, all of their skills were on point. You know, you're going to have a few deductions here and there, things that might be off just slightly, but overall, it's probably one of the best times I've seen them execute their team event.
So we'll wait here for the final tallies. Now, so Glenville will need a net difference of 7.8, essentially. I think 7.7 and change. I don't have my calculator out, but 7.7 and change to win. .75 or better. We'll step aside as we await the scores here. Danielle Kutry, a lot to be proud of for her Fairmont State Falcon group. Alex Wiederspiel and Christy Kiefer with you here on MEC TV, and we're back right after this. The scores are in. So Fairmont State is going to win the Mountain East Conference Championship as they have taken this event by about 11 points. Fairmont is nothing if not consistent. That number just right around their season average of 260, hitting 261, and the Falcons do exactly what they need to do. Back-to-back days of 260 points, and they have won the Mountain East Conference Championship. what a tremendous season for Fairmont State, and certainly nothing can be said of the effort Glenville put together, but this is, I think, a performance you really have to talk about in respect of Fairmont State came out and essentially repeated what they did yesterday with a slightly better team event number. Says a lot about just how well prepared they were. It was something that Danielle Kutry talked about, how well prepared they were for this event.
Yes, I think, as you can see, there we are. As you can see, like, the confetti's flying, and they're just so excited. It's been a season working very hard, and to go undefeated, and that's very rarely do you see that done. I believe Baylor is doing that, and I believe it might be another team or not. I'm not real sure on that, but it's exciting.
Fairmont State won this event last year narrowly as well, edging Glenville State, and the dominance of this program continues year after year. And as mentioned yesterday, this is obviously a newer sport, and the program, they've done a lot in a very short amount of time.
Absolutely. So if this hasn't been exciting for everyone, I don't know what would be.
Back-to-back championships in the Mountain East Conference, and Fairmont State will likely learn exactly where they'll be seated tomorrow as the top 8 will come out for the national championships. Congratulations to Glenville State on a phenomenal season in their own right. Not out of the question that they could move up, but not likely, as they are number 11 right now. That said, I guess the big thing is, how do you improve moving forward, looking with the championships ahead?
And explain that. I'm not sure.
I guess you've got to bring your best stuff against those other top 8 teams. Is there anything else? What else can you do at this point, or is it just who you are is who you are?
I think at this point it's taking what you do and executing it flawlessly. Going in and entering it is the best physical health that you have, and to be ready to go, and mentally, physically, emotionally, and not have those deductions.
Final score, Fairmont State wins by a little more than 18 points, 261.45 to 243.200 to win their second consecutive Mountain East Conference championship at the 2026 MEC Acrobatics and Tumbling Championships. Christy, thank you so much. You've been an enormous resource throughout the course of this event.
Yes, it has been a pleasure.
That said, that'll do it for us here on MEC TV. Congratulations again to Fairmont State and Glenville State. We'll see you next year.
Have a great evening.
Yeah, don't know where, we do know when, and we'll meet again next time.
Take care.